Good morning. This is Terry Albrecht with the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality and Waste Reduction Partners. I'll be your session moderator, and I wish to welcome you to today's webinar titled Utilities Cost Control Strategies During COVID-19. This is a peer discussion for North Carolina's hospitality and tourism sector. With the COVID-19 mandated closures and current phased reopenings, many of our North Carolina hospitality and tourism businesses are struggling to survive and looking for every way to cut costs. Our team here at Waste Reduction Partners and NC Green Travel wanted to host an event where peer businesses could share their experiences and what they are doing to help cut, reduce, or better manage their utility costs. Through our peer discussion and resource panelists this morning and the Q&A, we hope to share and discuss some of these approaches to energy management of facilities during these closures and partial closures with the priority of staff and visitor health, asset protection, and of course, the provision of your services and attractions. Today's event is being hosted by the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality and its Division of Environmental Assistance and Customer Service. This division houses a number of programs that are hosting today's webinar, including the NC Green Travel Program, Waste Reduction Partners, and the North Carolina Environmental Stewardship Initiative. We also want to say thank you to the Landescar Regional Council that administers the Waste Reduction Partner programs and is supporting our platform technology. Thanks to all our tourism stakeholder base that helped advertise this event. I wanted to tell you that there have been about 40 registrants for this webinar today, and they represent really a wide variety of tourism and development industries. These include inns and hotels and lodging, breweries, attractions, parks, museums, resorts, and we also have a number of TDA and chamber officials on the call, as well as state and other resource providers. So thanks to all for being with us today. Just a brief view of our agenda. This is a real-time webinar, so it's been put together pretty quickly. We've got 4 panelists that I'll be introducing in just a moment. They'll be giving some brief presentations about their operations, followed by a Q&A discussion and a couple of resources to follow. So we'll be going through that. Just to go into a little housekeeping, if you're having any technical difficulties hearing us, please use the phone to call in case you're having computer audio problems, and the numbers are here, and they were also in your invitation link that you received. We will be recording today's webinar and sending all registrants a copy of those recordings and the slides, so they will be available and they will be posted to some of our websites that we talked in before. All attendees are going to be muted on this event. So for our discussion purposes, we're going to be asking you to type in your questions, and on your GoToMeeting toolbar, there should be a question bar, and you can type in your questions for our panelists as we go through that they'll be addressing during the Q&A portion of this webinar. We have a great set of business panelists today who very graciously agreed to share in this discussion. And while my introductions will be short, our first 3 panelists are really industry leaders in their own right and represent a broad range of tourism and hospitality activities. These 3 are also all members of the NC Green Travel Program for their commitment to environmental sustainability. Our 4th special guest panelist will be from Duke Energy, serving as a resource guide for us. The planning of this webinar literally happened really just over the course of a few days, so we really appreciate the responsiveness and willingness for our panelists to participate. We've asked each of the panelists to talk about their organization and current status of operations during this coronavirus time, and then share some of their utility management efforts. So with that, we're gonna Let me just review our four panelists today, and then we'll kick it off with Seth. So just some brief introductions. Seth Gross is the owner of Bull City Burger and Brewery and Pompiera Pizza, as well as Bull City Solera and Tap Room, and all these establishments are in Durham. His business won the Small Business of the Year Award in 2018. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Seth and let him discuss. So if you want to unmute yourself, Seth.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. So we call our restaurants the Pie Pan Restaurant family, and I just wanted to give you a little background of who we are and what we're about, because I think that will tie into better to what we're doing when it comes to conserving energy and utilities. Next slide, please. So we have 3 restaurants currently. Actually, 2.5 is probably a better way to say it. Bull City Burger and Brewery has been around for over 9 years, and we're the first certified B Corp restaurant in North Carolina and first brew pub in the world to achieve that. If you're not familiar with B Corps, these are like-minded businesses that work on this premise of there is a triple bottom line, and that is people, planet, and then profit. I take people first as our highest priority, taking care of the 2 sides of that equation. That is both the employees, we call them heartbeats, or I call them heartbeats. They are what keeps us going. I have about 75 heartbeats in the company right now. And after the other half of that is the community and making sure that we're taking care of the community. The second to that then is planet. And so everything from that is under sustainability, that would be composting, recycling, the usual things, LED lighting and water conservation, but also sustaining the business in a positive way of making decisions that generate money staying in the community rather than going out. So while something may cost more buying it locally, we'll make that option first. We actually have standards and criteria for all of our purchasing for the chefs and people in the company to make those decisions. And then hopefully at the end of the day, there's some profit. And I'm okay with giving up profit as long as we're taking care of people and planet. We're the first business in all of Durham to reach the gold level for sustainability by the city of Durham, and it's just part of our DNA. This is how we do things: people, planet, and profit. Pompiera Pizza is 6 years old now, the second restaurant in North Carolina to be B Corp certified, and we're still the only 2 that I know of, unless somebody just got that. And there's only about 16 on the entire planet, at least the last time I looked as well, that are certified B Corps. So that's really kind of a cool thing. And it's also something that we want to inspire people to look at. Using your business as a force for good in the community is essentially what it means. Bull City Solera and Tap Room is under construction. And in fact, right in the midst of all of this virus hitting we were at the height of construction. I've chosen to keep going. Some of those reasons were having to do with wanting to give people jobs, making sure that people are working, making sure that the construction company, all the vendors that were relying on us. I did make the decision just this past Monday that it doesn't look like dining rooms are going to be opening anytime soon. So we are going to pause the construction part and focus on the kitchen and getting that finished out rather than the dining room, so that we could at least be doing takeout food, because I've got to get some income generating out of there now. Next slide, please. All right, so we use core values to make an impact on our community. Each restaurant has its own set of core values, and we use those as our guiding light for all of our decisions. So we make everything from scratch in our restaurants, and I'm pretty obsessive compulsive about that. We make the mayonnaise, we make the mustard, we make the pickles, the relish, the buns. It's grass-fed beef raised in North Carolina. I mean, we make everything in the restaurant except for ketchup at Bull City, and at Pompieri we don't have ketchup on pizza, so we make everything. And that's really one of our core values. We don't have giant menus, but it allows us to make everything. We try to source as locally as possible. We only do pastured meats with no added hormone, no antibiotics in their diet kind of stuff, happy meat, as they say. We try to make all of our decisions about sustainable, both from cost and from the idea of making sure that they're good for the company and good for the community. We want to be good stewards of our environment, and we want to improve the community through our leadership. And we use food as a way to teach about customers and food systems, or teach our customers and our employees about food systems and how food gets to the table. And I would say right now, given the situation that we are in this world, this country, I think the broken food systems that we have right now are becoming ever more apparent in the community as we look at, unfortunately, sadly, animals having to be slaughtered. Our systems are set up to transport and move millions of pounds of food through a system that right now is crumbling, and I am very, very concerned about what our food system is going to look like in the near future. Next slide, please. We'll get to some of the environmental stuff now, or utility stuff, excuse me. So just my way of thinking, as soon as we realized we had to shut down the restaurant, I went into how do we conserve money in order to make sure we save jobs. And so one of the first things I looked at was our utilities. So we immediately shut down everything that was not electrical. And I know a lot of this stuff hopefully is common sense to people. This isn't revolutionary thinking, but if suddenly we're not serving 800 people on a Friday night, hamburgers, I don't need as much refrigeration running. We consolidated all of our food now for takeout is into one walk-in cooler, and we shut down reach-ins. We shut down any coolers in the restaurants that were not needed. So consolidating refrigeration was number one. Gas appliances, we looked at that. Normally you turn on the ovens, you turn on the fryers. We now have shut down excess fryers, excess ovens, anything that doesn't need to be used on a daily basis. A lot of our habits when it comes to utilities are just that. They're just habits. You come in, you just turn stuff on because you just want to have all your ovens on, but we don't need to do that anymore. Lights, pretty obvious one, but most of the dining room is empty now other than where we're working for takeout. So we shut down all of the lighting. Dining room areas are dark, private dining areas. Looked at the air conditioning programming. We have digital thermostats. They're programmed for time periods and things. So immediately changed that. Instead of being open until 10, 11, 12 at night, we're now closing the restaurants at 8 p.m. There's no need to have air conditioning running from, say 8:30 after everyone's gone until the next morning. So we reprogrammed our thermostats. We have high temperature dish machines in our bars to separately wash all glassware. And we stopped using those. Of course, they use a lot of power and energy to keep the water hot, 165 or higher for sanitizing. And so we shut down those machines. Then some other things that, in a way, they're cutting costs, but we wanted to look at our menu. We wanted to make sure that, what are the things that we sell but not a great quantity of? How much labor does that take? What does it generate in profit? But what that also relates to is not having to buy those ingredients, not storing them, not using the energy and the resources for those things. So we actually trim down our menu. There's always things on a restaurant menu that, well, I shouldn't say always. I mean, some of us who are passionate and, maybe make decisions that are more heart-based than business-based, we have some things on the menu that we just love. They're delicious, but they don't make a whole lot of sense sometimes. So we decided to cut some of those things that would save us some utility and some money and things like that. So that's the heart of what we've been doing to try to reduce energy use, utilities. Last thing I just wanted to say is that for me, again, it's not about profit. We work on a much lower profit margin than most people understand how restaurants work. The restaurant industry is absolutely broken. If I had my choice, I would abolish tipping. It is sexist. It is racist. There are so many things wrong with it. We don't tip when we buy a couch, at a furniture store or something like that. So we use food as a vehicle to make people happy. We use food as a way to teach people about food systems, about how the industry works. And we want to sustain the community through food. Most of us, not all of us, unfortunately, but most of us do tend to eat, 3 times a day. And I figured food was a great way to educate. And so we use our business as a way to do that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Seth. Thanks so much for sharing these commitments and your approaches and all the activities you're working on. So that was very, very informative. So thank you so much. Okay. All right. Next up, we have Brian Locke, who is the purchasing director for the Washington Duke Inn and Golf Club, which is a a resort, part of the Duke University community. So I'm going to turn it over to Brian.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Seth, that was a great presentation, and some of my items may duplicate it as I touch on some of the kitchen operations. So those of you that are listening, please be understanding. I think this is an important peer sharing event, and wanted to thank Terry, Dee, Scott, and Tom for their work organizing this webinar. Also, I wanted to thank the other panelists for your time today as well. First off, I wanted to say that I am not sure if there's a playbook anywhere for times like these. In my opinion, throughout this process, all of us have shown creative and original solutions to problems that we had no idea existed. Yes, we have all faced economic downturns, natural disasters of some sort, even terrorist attacks. But for the entire world's economy to shut down is completely beyond measure. I wanted to start by giving a brief description of both the Washington Duke Inn and the JB Duke hotels. Both properties are affiliated with Duke University, the Duke University Hospitality Corridor, as we affectionately call it. Both properties are named after Duke family founders. Washington Duke was an American tobacco industrialist and philanthropist who fought in the Civil War. He's the dad. James Buchanan Duke, or JB, was an American tobacco and electric power industrialist, best known for the modern cigarette and involvement with Duke University. That's the son. The Washington Duke Inn has 271 guest rooms and suites, 3 restaurant outlets, extensive banquet and meeting facilities, a bar, and a snack bar for the Duke University golf course. The JB Duke Hotel has 197 guest rooms and suites, 2 restaurant outlets, extensive banquet and meeting space, a bar, and a barista bar. The JB Duke was opened 3 years ago after extensive remodeling of the R. David Thomas Center at the Fuqua School. In the remodeling, JB Duke was remodeled to LEED Silver standards. All lighting is LED and auto-controlled, along with numerous other energy cost-saving designs. This week is traditionally graduation week at Duke University. I wanted to share a little comparative data with you. Last year, during this week, we were in full graduation mode. We enjoyed 100% occupancy with the highest ADR of the year, 3-night minimum stays, record-setting F&B revenues were likely, close to 6,000 outlet covers over the 3 days, along with numerous graduation celebrations and banquets at both properties. Orders for cost of goods are at the highest level of the year. Storerooms are bursting at the seams with supplies needed for the upcoming onslaught of guests at both properties. The overall vibe at both properties is one of celebration and joy. Many of our guests have become friends over the 4 years that their family members have attended Duke. As our general manager, Randy Coles, reminds us every year, this weekend is the most important weekend to our owners and guests. This is why we were built, he likes to remind us. Any of our colleagues affiliated with a college or university can appreciate the impact that graduation weekend has on yearly performance. With that said, let's review our current situation. Fortunately, both properties are currently still open for business. Our employees are all on the payroll, whether they are on property or not. This is due solely to Duke University's commitment to its employees, contract workers, and hotels. We are down from 240 employees on property to about 15 at the Washington Duke. JB Duke is down from 125 to 12. All life safety and IT systems are fully operational at both properties. Our restaurants and bars are closed per state mandate. Our pool and fitness centers are closed as well. As this crisis evolved, I would like to review 3 important areas we focused on as a team throughout the properties to reduce costs: utilities, other expenses, and vendor relationships. We started by simultaneously shutting down the catering and conference wing, guest rooms 3, 4, and 5 of the Washington Duke Inn. Similar actions were taken at the JB Duke. All drapes are pulled in these areas, pulled closed. Offices and restrooms are closed. Exterior entrances are locked to control what little foot traffic there is. At the Washington Duke Inn, the second floor is partially open for guests, allowing for the shortest cycle for elevators. Lighting in the closed areas, along with the corridor lighting, has been shut down for emergency lighting. The JB Duke has limited guest rooms to the third and seventh floors with the same energy-saving configurations in place. All employees in sales, catering, conference services, and other office workers are telecommuting as much as possible. Offices are dark, computers are shut off, maximizing any and all energy conservation measures possible in these spaces. We have shut down most of the HVAC with only periodic restarts. Temperature settings in areas being conditioned have been adjusted to allow for maximum energy conservation. We estimate that of the 448,000 square feet total at both properties, about 309,000 square feet is in conservation mode or shut down. Also, natural gas fireplaces, fire pits, and such have been shut down as well. Laundry operations have been reduced from 14 shifts a week to 1 to 2 shifts at each property, resulting in major water, gas, electric, and chemical conservations. The Washington Duke Inn kitchen operations have been reduced to a bare minimum, geared completely to takeout and contactless room service models. The employee cafe has been closed. Employee meals now consist of a grab-and-go variety. JB Duke's kitchen is effectively shut down, serving only employee meals as grab-and-go as well. Operating times of the dish machine at the Washington Duke is down from 15 to 17 hours per day to at most 3. This has resulted in significant reductions in water, electrical, and chemical consumption. Also, the heat from the dish machine has been dramatically reduced as well, allowing the air conditioning demand to be reduced. With the kitchen being closed at the JB, their dish machine is practically offline. Washington Duke has 4 of the 7 main walk-in coolers offline, along with ancillary mobile refrigeration and freezers. Ice machines at both properties have been shut down, with the smallest number running, covering only the bare essential needs. All cooking has been consolidated to small portion, as Seth has mentioned, of one line. Hoods are shut down that don't need to be running, reducing both energy consumption and conditioned air being removed from the building. 1 6-burner stove instead of 6 running, 1 convection oven instead of 2, 1 grill instead of 2, not using combis or fryers, tilt skillets, banquet ovens, etc., will all have a positive impact on our conservation efforts. Other concerns we had was the disposition of inventory on hand, both of production and finished goods. Obviously, we froze all the survivable proteins we could for reuse later. However, freezer space is only so big. We had steward sales of perishable items that would have expired during this event. Everything from bacon, eggs, breads to produce, seafoods, meats, sodas, candies, beer. All were offered at cost or less than cost to employees and their families. Even at a price lower than cost, it's better to get some monies back to offset these items instead of throwing them out. With these steps, we anticipate a 35% reduction minimum in electricity consumption, 70% water reduction, and potentially a 90 to 95% reduction in natural gas consumption. When we take a look at other expenses, we went through a process at both properties where we examined line-by-line operational expenses and opportunities to reduce any and all unnecessary spend. We went through our critical date book, or our contracts book, and reviewed every contract and worked through each potential cost-saving scenario. We looked at all operating supplies and made necessary changes to allow for the maximum cost-saving opportunities. With telecommuting, for example, the need for copy paper, toner, office supplies, and all other commonly used items has dramatically dropped. We have reduced our recycling contractor pickups of glass, cans, plastic, and paper from twice a week to once monthly. We have reduced even the number of exterior trash cans and moved from a landscaping contractor collection to an internal collection process. We renegotiated our medical waste contractor pickups along with our main compactor and cardboard pickups. Our accounts for both waste oil pickups along with carbon dioxide refills have been placed on an as-needed basis instead of auto refill or auto pickup. We have moved from automatic landscape irrigation to a manual approach as needed. Also, the annual planting for spring has been rescheduled for a later date. the need for water, fertilizer, and such has been dramatically reduced. Our outside laundry vendor has been reduced from twice a week to on call as needed for only kitchen towels and aprons. All exterior rugs are currently being maintained in-house as needed. We even looked at the cable TV contract and amended that as well. We even asked our office water distributor for concessions, and our rental for our office water coolers has been suspended. Then we looked at vendor relations. Under normal circumstances, we would have 25 to 40 trucks from various vendors backing up each week to our dock. In this process of minimizing costs, we have streamed that number down to 4 to 5. Unfortunately, we may pay a few more pennies for certain items, but the reduction of traffic and invoices and consolidating what little spend we currently have available with our best vendors continues to build those relationships during these times. Without the help of our vendors, this task of amending agreements, contracts, and working through an aging accounts payable situation would be extremely taxing. We had some very open and sometimes difficult discussions with our vendors. Through open communication, we were able to position ourselves in the best possible fashion for success. In conclusion, it is my sincere hope that some of the items I shared today will lead to additional items for you and your teams. Most of our actions were simply affecting the most positive changes possible in the shortest amount of time. We, as a property, have done a very good job of working through this crisis while maintaining our social distancing, safety, and senses of humor. Above all else, the stresses of families, job insecurities, potential sicknesses, it is important to find humor in the little things to get us through the day. I pray that you and your families at both work and home remain safe and healthy during this time. Thanks for your time today.
Brian, wow, thank you for sharing your perspective and the dynamic nature of all your operations. So we really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, our next panelist, switching gears a little bit more to a premier state attraction here in North Carolina. We have Brian Postel, who is the communications coordinator for the North Carolina Aquarium on Roanoke Island. So Brian, I'm gonna hand it over to you and I'll cycle your slides for you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. And thank you so much for attending this and continuing all the discussions we have during this COVID-19 time when we all are sort of inventing things as we go. My name is Brian Postel. I'm the communications coordinator for the North Carolina Aquarium on Roanoke Island. We are one of the more popular attractions on the Outer Banks and one of 3 North Carolina aquariums and Jeanette Pier that comprise the North Carolina Aquarium system. Next slide, please. The North Carolina Aquarium on Roanoke Island is it has a large community role. We have a lot of membership. We have a large membership. We have a lot of loyal guests. We are one of the main plans for a lot of people who come to spend their 1 week a year on the Outer Banks. The Outer Banks is in the unique position of having a relatively small year-round population, but one that explodes to 100 to 200,000 new visitors each week during the season. Next slide. The original aquarium building was opened in 1976 outside of Manteo, North Carolina. This island is a small community. We share this island with attractions such as the Lost Colony, the Elizabethan Garden, and the historic Manteo downtown. In the community, we strive to be a sustainability leader and a partner through several initiatives. We have set up unique recycling opportunities through the aquarium, and we have been part of community efforts such as beach cleanups. We have education speakers that speak to sustainability, and it remains one of our big goals. We were certified this last year as a green travel destination. Next slide, please. We attract approximately 300,000 visitors a year to the aquarium. 50% or more of those come in 3 months, June, July, and August. So those are incredibly heavily trafficked months. We are open year-round. The only 2 days that we close under regular operations are Christmas and Thanksgiving. However, we do experience some temporary closures due to hurricane weather. In those cases, we typically reopen just as soon as the hurricane has passed and any sort of cleanup or damage at the aquarium is repaired or cleaned up. This case of the COVID-19 closure is the first such closure that we have had to manage outside of closures for renovations that we did in 2016. So with 50% or more of our visitors coming in June, July, or August, we're obviously coming up on the busy season, and the Outer Banks is preparing to open to visitors for the first time since the COVID-19 closure. We are not set on a firm reopening date yet. We are discussing that in accordance with state and county officials and intend to probably have an announcement on that soon. And we are, of course, beginning to get queries about when we will be opening by people who are planning their visits here. Among those 300,000 visitors every year, we have summer camps, winter camps, and school groups that bring in students from all over North Carolina. Next slide, please. We have 2,000, currently we have 2,388 animals in our care. The care of our animals is job number one for the North Carolina Aquarium. Of those 2,388 animals, a little over 1,600 of those are moon jellies, which is one of our very popular exhibits. So think around 1,220 animals, plus all of those jellies are our guests here at the aquarium. And again, animal welfare and health is job number one for the North Carolina Aquarium. We also have a working sea turtle hospital known as the STAR Center. That's the Sea Turtle Assistance and Rehabilitation Center. We currently have 16 turtles in our care there, but we have seen up to several hundred at a time, and it is a year-round operation. Next slide. So caring for those animals, we currently have 38 essential staff working at the aquarium. These are the people that are making sure that the animals and the facility are cared for. This is everything from feeding animals to health and welfare checks. This team is divided into two groups, currently divided into two groups as part of our management for the COVID-19 closure. These teams do not interact at all. This is to avoid possible transmission. In case anybody gets sick, we still have a team that has not been exposed. So far, we have not had any cases of that, but we continue with that Team A and B strategy. These teams work from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. 7 days a week. And this includes everything from shark feeding, cleaning inside animal habitats, and our operation team has constant sanitizing in all of our areas to make sure that there isn't any sort of possibility of transmission in those areas. Several other offices, including our admin office and our education office, are on heavily reduced staff. They're mostly empty. This would reduce use on things like computers and printers. We have very quickly identified mandatory essential staff who needed to be in the building and those who did not need to be in the building, and anyone who did not need to be in the building on behalf of animal care or facility care is teleworking at this point. Next slide, please. This is a map of our facility, and so what you can see here is that we have several different isolated areas throughout the building, and this will come up in a few minutes when I talk about some of our utility usage. But I wanted you to get an idea of the space that we're managing right now in both the COVID-19 closure and animal welfare, and the spaces that we would use during the public opening hours. So how are we using utilities currently? Let's have the next slide, please. Oh, sorry, go on to the next one. Okay, great. So how are we using our utilities? As I said, job number one is animal health and well-being. That means that we have some utility usage that is absolutely mandatory during this closure, and we have no option but to run it. That includes water pumps. It includes maintaining temperatures, both the ambient room temperature and the water temperature. It also includes lighting. We have lighting in the habitats, and it's not just to make the fish look pretty and to give our guests something interesting to look at. The lighting mimics animals' photo period, so we try to maintain those as close to a sunrise to sunset schedule so that the animals in our care maintain that schedule. We also make our own saltwater and freshwater. This is something that is not unique to us, but several aquariums manage this in different ways. On site, we use 120,000 gallons a month approximately to make the water that goes into our habitats. That is a practice that is continuing at this point. Again, this is for the optimal well-being of our animals. Also, our animals have to eat. That means that we have refrigeration and freezing of food that continues to go on, and then of course we've got our essential staff that's on site. So we've got essential staff comfort. The offices for the essential staff remain active, lit, and climate controlled. Again, we have constant cleaning. We have constant habitat maintenance. Worker areas are maintained. We have laundry for towels and rags. This is stuff that happens throughout the year, but we are adding additional sanitizing to any areas that are touched throughout the aquarium. However, we are able to reduce some tasks that are normally performed daily, such as vacuuming. We have reduced that somewhat to be able to save some of our utilities. So what have we done? The North Carolina Aquarium System and the North Carolina Aquarium on Roanoke Island keep sustainability as a high priority in our planning. We have at our facility, we have a green team, and facility-wide or aquarium-wide, we have a sustainability committee. Both of these groups advise and are actually very innovative in coming up with ways to save resources and to recycle items throughout our facilities. We have performed LED upfitting in both inside the tanks and outside of public spaces. That's something that goes on a regular basis anyway. We have installed low-flow toilets in all guest and employee bathrooms. Within the past couple of years, we were able to install a new chiller, which runs on a much more efficient basis. We have new boilers going in that use LP gas instead of oil. And the thing that I want to point out most, one of our biggest steps has been the introduction of an automated system that reduces energy from our chiller. our chiller circulates water throughout the building, and that's how we cool the building down. Through our automated system, we're able to isolate specific areas of the aquarium that we want to focus that energy on, or that we can remove that energy from. In this time, we have specific areas where we have unpopulated rooms, such as Neptune's Theater, which is a 2,400 square foot room that's virtually empty right now. Using this automated system, we are able to dramatically reduce the amount of energy we're spending maintaining climate control in those kind of spaces. And in fact, our chiller is operating at approximately a 35% capacity right now, thanks to that building automated system. Next slide, please. So in caring for the animals and keeping the aquarium running, what are we doing now? Again, the building automated system is reducing energy not being used. That also includes all unoccupied offices and unused visitor areas. Obviously, all of our guest bathrooms are not being used. We are reducing lights in visitor areas. We do not currently have any food service on site. So this is kind of the two messages that I want to use as the takeaway is that our ability to reduce our utility usage comes more from a long-term plan that we've been implementing over the past few years, as far as a general reduction in our footprint that we are then able to fine-tune during this closure. And then the second point that I just want to make is that, you know, there are no steps too small. Again, the majority of our utility usage continues because we have to take care of these animals. However, we can make small fine-tuning here and there that does make a difference. Next slide. So that's it from me at the North Carolina Aquarium on Roanoke Island. When you're on the Outer Banks, please come give us a visit, and I'll be happy to try and answer any questions. Thank you.
Great, Brian. Thank you so much for sharing your unique perspective and your unique operating environment there at the aquarium. And so for all of our attendees, please be jotting down your questions for these three panelists, which we'll be addressing in just a few minutes. So Brian, thanks again. Okay, so our next speaker, we decided to invite a resource speaker from Duke Energy that can talk to you know, some of the programs and initiatives that Duke Energy will be providing. And we have Adonai Cologne, who's a Duke Energy advisor, and we're gonna share his screen so he can give you his presentation directly. So Adonai, I'm gonna give you presentation rights here.
Thank you for that. And good morning, everyone. I'm with Duke Energy. I'm a business energy advisor. We've been reaching out to our customers during this time to try to help them out any way possible. And I'm just going to go over some opportunities you can find on your bill, opportunities to get some free items from Duke Energy, and any way we can help out during this time to help you save energy and money. My team, we have resources all across North Carolina. We have our phone number right here for our team, and we have a team of business energy advisors. There's about 10 of us across the state. But what we do is look into your bills to see if there's any rate savings. We look at all of our programs that could benefit our customers. So feel free to write this phone number down, reach out to us, and we'll look into your account to see what we can do to save you money during this time. As you know, Duke Energy has canceled all disconnects and all additional charges. And once we get things going again, we will have the option to do payment arrangements, so no one has to worry about their energy services being discontinued. Some just a reminder, everyone in the state has smart meters now. So you are able to get proactive outage alerts. With smart meters, you're actually able to see your usage every day online. So I do encourage everyone to do that. Take a look at the changes that you made, what dates you made them, and go look online to see your actual minute-to-minute usage. It's a good opportunity to see what's working, what's not working, what days you were able to reduce more energy, and what actions actually do help your energy bill. You're also able to get that information on your phone now. We have a Duke Energy app. It gives you usage alerts, high bill alerts, so if your meter sees that you're using a lot of energy, all of a sudden it will send you a message letting you know. Also, you can adjust your due date now with our smart meters, and it also sends payment confirmation with our new smart meters. So I wanted to kind of show an example of a bill today. This is a great opportunity to look at your bill and see what you can do to save even more money. One thing to look for, I heard someone had a brewery on this phone call, and one thing that a brewery is a manufacturer of beer. So in North Carolina, if you're a manufacturer, you do not have to pay sales tax. So if you look on this bill, this customer is getting charged a sales tax. So what you can do is reach out to us, to your business energy advisor, and we'll help you take off the sales tax off your bills moving forward and reimburse you up to 3 years of your sales tax that you paid. And that's if you're a brewer. Another thing to look at is seeing what rate you're on, your rate schedule description, which is right above sales tax and actual demand. For example, the aquarium, the North Carolina aquarium, or hotels, you want to be on a time of use rate. You're using power 24/7. A time of use rate is going to actually benefit you in the long run as far as your energy usage, because you're a 24-hour operation, so it's actually going to make it cheaper on your energy bill. So that's something to look at as well. If you give us a call to our team, we're happy to do this for you. We'll take a look at your account, see where we can actually save you money, do a full rate check, do rate audit, see if you're paying the minimum possible. We'll check your demand contract to make sure that's not too high. But this is a free service. We're here to help out any way we can. But things that we found recently with a lot of customers, sales tax is a big one. The rate you're on is a big one. So make sure you're looking at that. And if you have any questions about it, please give us a call. We're happy to do this for you. Another thing that Duke Energy is doing right now, we actually have free items on our online store. This is a great opportunity to make those small upgrades that could help your business out, save energy, not only now, but in the long run as well. So if you log into duke-energy.com and go to the business online store, you'll see LED light bulbs that are free. We have different types. We got aerators for your faucets in the bathroom. That's a simple energy saving you can do, and it's free. If you have any of those candle lights, we're giving those away for free. We have a lot of more discounted items, but you have all those available. One big thing that a lot of people miss are the exit signs retrofits. Those are free right now. You can actually go in and change all your exit signs. Those always stay on, so it's a good opportunity to save some energy and money there as well. Another thing that we're doing during this time, and I do recommend this for hotels and any location that has quite a bit of consumption, we're doing free virtual energy audits. Usually that's cost $5,000. We're doing that for free right now. So we'll let you know what you're doing, how much your building should be using, what you can do to save even more money. This is completely free right now. We can do it virtually. We'll work with you and just gather the information and do a full energy model of your building. You have an engineer assigned to you and a project manager assigned to you. It's a great opportunity to learn more about your building, see what you can do moving forward or what you can do now during this time to save even more money. And energy design assistance, we do that for new construction. I know a lot of construction is paused right now, but if you plan on doing anything in the future, we actually will help you out with that as well and provide you with rebates if you do anything energy efficient. And we do that all for free for our customers at this time. You can lock that in now. You can sign up for it now online, or you can call us directly. We'll get that set up for you and scheduled. You don't have to take advantage of it now, but you can lock in the free part right now. So that way, if you don't have time right now, and you would rather do it June or the December time, that's perfectly fine. It still work with you on that. Another opportunity, and Seth mentioned that he has smart thermostats at his location. We actually give away smart thermostats for free. This is our Energy Wise program. Basically, we'll go in and install it for you for free. You can control it from your phone, your computer at home, and manage how much, what the temperature is at your location, your restaurant. And on what we recommend is 78 when there's no one using it or no one in the facility at the time. That helps you save a lot of energy. The reason we're able to provide this program for free, we're able to reduce the load a little bit on fans during high demand days, so it helps the grid out. So that's why we're able to offer these for free. But it's a great program, great opportunity. If you don't have a smart thermostat at your location, you can definitely get one for free from Duke Energy. We're happy to come by and set it up for you.
Hey, Adonai, quick time check. You have about 2 minutes left, and your audio is going in and out just a bit, so maybe if you could either close other applications or speak closer in the mic would be great.
Thank you. And another opportunity for customers who have not yet upgraded to LED, we can provide that for you. No upfront capital for our customers. And what we do is use part of the savings to pay off a lighting upgrade. So this is just a great opportunity. If you haven't changed over to LED, we're happy to help do that for you and just use part of the savings to pay off that project. So if you haven't done that, it's a great opportunity to work with us. We do also provide rebates. I'm sure most of you are aware if you buy Energy Star appliances, LED lights, if you have a white roof, we're going to pay you money for being energy efficient. So if you're making any of those purchases in the future, just let us know. We'll be happy to provide you with a check with some money for going energy efficient. Another thing that Duke Energy provides, for example, if you need a chiller, backup power generation, we do provide all those services with no upfront capital, and we just do a payment plan with our customers. This includes interior lighting, EV charging stations, outdoor lighting, anything we can do to help you moving forward. I know capital is going to be kind of an issue moving forward right now. We're happy to help that we can take advantage of the energy savings now. And that is all I have. Thank you for your time, everyone. And like I said, feel free to reach out to us with any questions to get a rate check done. If you're a brewery and you're still paying taxes, let us know. We're happy to take that off and refund you up to 3 years.
Okay, Adonai, thank you so much for that review. Apologize for some of the audio going in and out a little bit, but all these slides will be available to you, and Ed and I will be online to address some questions. So right now we're going to jump over to our Q&A. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Scott Pfister, who will be asking all of our panelists some questions and turning this into a back and forth discussion. Lots of great information presented. I'm sure you all have a lot of questions and a lot of variety of activities we've just heard, as well as resources. So Scott, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great, thank you, Terry. And again, thanks to all panelists as well as attendees. And I'll just echo what Terry said in terms of technology. I know it's teaching me a lot about my patients and helping me improve that. I'm in downtown Raleigh because of my internet connection today. So, but enough about internet and technology. I wanted to ask, this came in from an attendee. Really great question. Just kind of a basic one, and it's to all the hospitality and tourism folks. How can folks stay tuned to your operations in terms of updates in the future, as well as current operations, sales, etc.? And I'll start off with Seth.
The best way is going to be social media. It is such a rapidly changing world. When I look at the progression of sort of slowly shutting down to mandatory shutting down to curbside, and now Durham is evolving as to possibly closing down streets to allow outdoor dining. I mean, they're looking at all kinds of options. So it's almost like a day-to-day thing to figure out what's going on. So website, social media, that's the best way for us.
Great, thank you. How about Brian L.?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. It is an evolving situation. I mean, we are not only under state mandate, but also we are operating under Duke mandates as well. So as things change with the state, we still have to check with what Duke wants us to do. So again, social media would be the best way for us as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And just for clarification, that's the Duke University, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry, Duke University. Thank you.
We have two Brians and two Dukes here today. And last but not least, Brian P.
Yeah, I would say that from anytime that you want to see a day-to-day, anytime you want to see anything going on with us from day to day, social media is the place to check. However, we do have a special page on ncaquariums.com that addresses specific updates regarding coronavirus and COVID-19 and any sort of closures and any information the public needs to know. And that is at ncaquariums.com/coronavirus.
Great, thank you all. This next question is for Adonai, and you had mentioned rate structures, and I have some experience with that, and I know sometimes for some folks it might be a little complicated, and for some folks they might not have a choice, and we have a really diverse array of businesses here and audience members. Can you go into a little more detail in terms of how you or how your colleagues at Duke Energy can help folks with their rate structure and understand it?
Yes, I'm be happy to answer that question. So we mentioned earlier we have motels, museums, parks, resorts, breweries. If you're a 24-hour operation, you want to be on a time of use. Like I said, you can call that number that was on the slide. We'll do that for you for free. I know there's some companies that charge for that. We'll do that assessment for free for you to see which rate would best fit your needs and make sure you're paying the least amount possible. But the biggest opportunities are, like I said, hotels, resorts, aquariums, anything that operates 24/7. You want to make sure you're checking your rate.
Great, thank you. And just a follow up to that, in terms of planning operations for the future, folks might expand, there might be a new wing to the aquarium, there might be a new pool or a whole new restaurant added to someone's portfolio. How can operations keep that in mind and reach out to you?
Yeah, you can reach out to us on that phone number, or you can go online and to duke-energy.com, and there's a business energy advisor page. But yeah, anytime you're making any changes, let us know. We're happy to look at your rate and make sure you're still paying the least amount possible. One thing that people usually miss out on is their demand rate. You set up a demand rate when a building's first built, but you don't check it ever again. We check that for you and make sure that that's updated, that you're not being charged anything extra on your bill.
And can you explain a little bit more about demand versus, say, kilowatt hours or something like that?
Sure can. So kilowatt hour is what you're using. It's counting all the time. The kilowatt demand is your peak demand. So we'll look at the peak demand, see how much energy we need to have readily available at your location. So we do charge for that. But when a building's first built, they'll say we needed 100 peak demand. When we find out later that year you only needed 30, so we'll reduce that contract for you and make sure you're not paying for 100 kilowatt demand.
Great, thank you. This next question actually will go out to everyone, all the panelists. So it has to do with your operations and maybe adopting new technologies, maybe promoting online registration more, or kiosks, or other type of digital tools, or even digital ways that your employees communicate with each other, or ways to group together. I know there's a lot of different products out there. So if you could all, we'll just again start with Seth and go down the line.
Sorry about that. Can you say that again? I want to make sure I answered that right.
Sure. So there's a question about digital or virtual tools that both customers can use to, say, make reservations or orders, or even are there digital tools that you're using now with employees that can help them stay connected?
I wish we were that high tech. Yeah, I was thinking about energy use and digital, but you mean for the customers? We don't. I mean, ordering online is about the best I can do when it comes to stuff like that. We don't have a whole lot of other digital stuff to offer there. Unless someone can think of something I'm not thinking of.
Once you figure out how to email a beer, just let me know.
Yeah,
all right,
I wish.
Brian L.
Hi, thanks. Our restaurants are set up with an online reservation process currently. Our room reservations are set up with an online reservation process currently. We are looking at other opportunities, even possibly people counters, so that our capacities as we reopen are within the limits that are going to be set forth. So we're constantly looking at cutting edge technologies to try to keep us on the forefront. As to whether capital is available to change some of this technology is a great question, but we will do the best that we possibly can with it. But we do have some online capability currently, yes.
Great, thank you. Brian P.
Yes, from a customer standpoint, we do anticipate doing some sort of online ticketing for the beginning of the reopening. We don't know necessarily how far out after reopening we plan to keep doing that, but in the near future there will be online ticketing, and that ticketing won't just be for people who are purchasing tickets. It will also be for members who hold membership cards who actually don't have to pay for a ticket, but they will need to reserve their space because we will be limiting capacity. From an employee standpoint, as a state or state-run organization, we use Microsoft Teams many times a day to stay connected in one-on-one video calls and group video calls. We pretty much have been utilizing that since day one of the closure.
Great, thank you. With the caveat that any mention of from state agencies of certain products is not specifically an endorsement of it, whether you like it or not. Adonai?
Yes, we aren't able to do face-to-face meetings with customers right now, so we've been using Teams heavily as well and Skype, unless the customer has another tool they like to use. But we are still meeting with customers. We're happy to meet with anyone. Also, like I mentioned during my presentation, the virtual energy audit, we've been able to do that with WebEx and been able to kind of help customers save money that way virtually.
Great, thank you. And we'll stay with you, Adonai. I had a follow-up, and then we just had another question come in for you. So the follow-up, and any of the panelists can speak up as well, but that'd be, I don't know if you've heard of any type of digital registration software being able to talk or be connected to the utilities folks in terms of numbers of registrations, current or in the future, being able to predict utility demand?
Yes, your smart meter can actually, it does that for you. It lets you know what it anticipates for this month. It'll send you kind of a notice in your email letting you know how much you used so far this month, about halfway through the month, and kind of make an assessment of what we think your bill is going to be. You do have to set up your online account for that, but with your smart meters, you can actually really see the data, day-to-day usage. You can see, for example, hotels, when you had 20% customers or 80% customers, what's the difference in usage? All that information is available online now with your smart meter. And we do have a new feature coming in the future. It's not ready just yet. We're piloting it, but eventually you'll be able to see your usage real time. So you'll be able to turn off lights and actually see the usage go down on your computer. That's still in development, but it is going to be coming in the future as a free feature.
Great, thank you, Adonai. Did anyone else, any of the other panelists, have any comments or thoughts on the registration connecting to utility demand? That's okay. We'll move on to that question for back to Adonai. The question essentially is if you could please elaborate on the rebates and share some examples of where businesses would consider taking advantage of these rebates or even credits from Duke Energy. And can you tell us the difference between the rebates and credits?
So yes, credits is more when we're refunding, say, taxes on your account. Rebates, you're actually going to get a check in the mail with your company's name on it. So there's a lot of good opportunities with rebates. For example, ice machines that are Energy Star get $200 up to $500. On-demand hoods get about $1,000. Dishwashers, Energy Star dishwashers get about $1,000. Also, for example, if you're redoing the roof at the aquarium and it's a white roof, you're going to get 60 cents a square foot. Also, same thing goes for hotels. Also, smart thermostats or room control thermostats that are in your hotel rooms, we're going to give you about $80 for each one. So if you have 200 rooms, that would be times $80 per room. Another great opportunity, as everyone knows, LED lighting is a great opportunity to get rebates. You can get $20 per fixture for those LED fixtures. If it's just a bulb, you still get $8 per bulb. So it's great opportunity to kind of incentivize energy efficiency. And if that's in your plans, we want to incentivize you for being energy efficient. But yeah, if it's kitchen equipment, just make sure it's Energy Star. If it's lighting, just go with LED. Will help offset that cost. Although we do have some free lights on our online store. Also, HVAC is a big one. If you're putting any HVAC systems or chillers, we'll give you money for that. Chillers usually get a pretty large rebate. But those are all opportunities to give money back for going energy efficient. And one more that I forgot to mention, this is for breweries specifically. VFDs and pumps that are energy efficient, we'll give you rebates for those as well. I know you guys use those a lot.
Great, Adonai. Thank you so much. And can you just clarify VFD for those who might not know what that means?
Those are variable frequency drives. So you'll see those on sometimes motors, HVAC units, and breweries use it. It just manages, instead of the motor going 100%, you can have it going to 80%, down to 60, down to 20. So it's not using all the power all the time.
All right. Well, Scott, I think we're going to wrap up our Q&A, and in the last few minutes we wanted to share just a couple other resources with you. So we're going to move on to those. We wanted to allow Tom Rhodes, who is the program manager for NC Green Travel, just to mention and talk about this program for about 1 minute. Tom?
Hi, and I wanted to thank everybody for all your input. It's just been wonderful having you with us, and thank you so much for your presentations. Thank you, Terry and Scott. NC Green Travel is an easy way for companies to get recognized for their sustainable actions, and they can get recognition, a free listing on our website, free promotion through our Facebook page and Twitter pages. It's really essentially free advertising to promote sustainable travel through North Carolina. Next slide, please. And NC Green Travel is designed so consumers can go to our website and see who is sustainable if they want to travel green. It's an easy way to find those facilities that are green and visit those. So if you need information, you can contact me at my phone number or email address, tom.rhodes@ncdiener.gov. And in addition, on our website, we have a load of resources for energy and water reduction, solid waste tips, how to reduce the amount of waste that you're generating, and a lot of good things that you can find there. So go to ncgreentravel.org and you'll find out more about the program. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tom, so much for that overview about NC Green Travel. Again, a great resource for you, over 230 members that are part of that in North Carolina, so I encourage you to take advantage of that. I wanted to mention, just throw up a slide here about the Waste Reduction Partners Program, which is a unique free technical assistance program that you can reach out to. We have a team of over 40 retired engineers and scientists across North Carolina, and we've served over 3,000 organizations with strategies on energy, water, and utility, solid waste savings, and recycling strategies. So please take advantage of that. Our contact information will be in the follow-up slides as well, but here's some phone numbers. And we have additional COVID response information posted on the WRP website as well, related to utility management. So we are just near the end of our seminar here. So here's a few more phone numbers if you need help. These are, again, phone numbers and emails from our DEQ staff as well as Duke Energy. And so with that, I want to I hope that everyone attending this can take away, you know, some new perspective, some new idea, some new resource that they can apply in their own organization. Again, thanks for all of our panelists for the gracious time, and thanks to all of our attendees. Watch for a follow-up email as you exit. There is an exit survey if you'd like to take that, and we'll be following up with it with an email. Thanks and have a great morning.